Now, I'm really excited to introduce you to our two speakers here. Marisa Lonic is the founder of Mama Work It, and is also a keynote speaker, life and business coach, a 3-time author, and a top-rated podcast host. After spending nearly 15 years in corporate leadership positions, Marisa shifted gears to become a full-time time momager and biz momager. Through her books, courses, and coaching programs, she helps busy moms juggling mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. Her time management and goal achievement strategies have helped the most overwhelmed mamas turn their dreams into reality, even when they thought they had no time to make any of it happen. Now, when she is not supporting working parents with their daily juggle, you can find Marisa cooking and baking delicious meals her kids may or may not eat, running or, walk running in her neighborhood, which still counts. I'm right there with you, Marisa. And hanging out with the 5 amazing guys she calls family, her husband and 4 kiddos. So welcome, Marisa. Marisa is going to be joined in conversation with Nancy Dixon, who's the Associate Director of Programs for the Connecticut Association of Independent Schools. Now, Nancy develops and offers professional development programming for 6,000 educators within CAIS member schools. Nancy has spent over 20 years in education in a range of roles from teaching to senior leadership, including roles as founding director of admission at the Bay School of San Francisco. She was also the 2nd employee there, as well as upper school principal at the Park School of Baltimore. Nancy is a mother to 3 children, ages 2, 6, and 8, and took extended family leave after the birth of each child, and has continuously made professional choices based on her perpetual search for the mythical work-life balance. Marisa and Nancy, I am really excited to hear what y'all talk about, so I'm going to yield the stage to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Meg. And thank you, Marisa. I'm really excited to learn from you. As you could hear from my bio, you're exactly who so many of us want to hear from. So with that in mind, thank you for sitting down with us. And I know the moms in the audience are really eager to find out how to get more time back in their day. So if you can tell us about the concept of time momagement to get us started.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for being here with me. So back in 2019, I was writing a book for working moms all about managing your time, fulfilling your goals, despite the busyness that we all feel in working motherhood. And one night I'm in the shower, just kind of thinking about, the book, the title, and I don't know about you, but I often get my best ideas in the shower. So this term just came to me and I thought, yes, this is it. This is exactly what managing your time as a mom should look like, because most moms, we're already pretty good at juggling lots of things, right? We're good at being productive, at remembering the laundry list of things to do, including the laundry. But where do our own goals and dreams and ambitions fall on this list? They're typically at the bottom because we're crowding up the space with other stuff we feel obliged to do, stuff that overwhelms us, stuff that just keeps us small in many ways, because we're not listening to that inner voice, that inner ambition we have as, that we're striving for as professionals, as moms, as partners, human beings, all of it. So I coined this term, and what it means to me is prioritizing your time and yourself back into your life so you can regain control of the overwhelm and ultimately live your best life, right? When you become a mom, I think society kind of paints this picture that you, as the person you were before, you don't necessarily matter anymore. If you want to be a good mom, well, then you better ensure you're doing anything and everything for your kids. If you want to excel in motherhood, you just need to accept the fact that you're not going to sleep anymore, or you might not go on dates with your partner anymore, or hang out with your friends, or, you're going to show up at work and you're probably going to feel really guilty about the fact that you're leaving your kids with someone else. And I think when you learn to momage your time right, that doesn't have to be the case. You can absolutely have the best of both worlds.
Thank you. That sounds like the ideal. So now we get to learn from you how we get there. You've written on your blog about the importance of being in control of our own schedules, instead of those schedules controlling us, which is certainly the lived reality for so many of us. Can you explain the shift in mindset and what it does for you and your clients?
Yes, absolutely. I think that you must take the reins of your schedule, or else your schedule will absolutely take over your life. So there are practical ways to do this, obviously, but there are mindset shifts as well. So let's dive into those mindset shifts as you asked. So first off, we tend to have this kind of love-hate relationship with time as it relates to our schedules. We often feel like time moves too quickly when we're having fun, right? Time flies, or it goes too slow when we're in situations we'd prefer not to be in. There's never enough time. And that belief system, when it comes to time, only serves to make us feel like we simply cannot possibly fit something into our lives that isn't quote unquote necessary. So, for example, if let's say you've been with the same employer for some time and you're not really in a season where you're job hunting or you're looking to make a career transition, yet this is something on your heart. It's deeply nudging you. You know you want to make it happen, yet you find yourself constantly saying, I don't have time. I don't have time to update my resume. I don't have time to search and apply to jobs. I don't have time to go to the networking event. I don't have time. You start to believe this and it starts to become your reality. So now, if you do one simple thing, if you start replacing the words, I don't have time, with the words, it's not a priority to me, something shifts, something happens. So in this case, I'm going to assume saying those words aloud is going to feel very misaligned with what actually is a priority to you, which is advancing your career. And what will happen is it'll propel you to make some changes in your schedule to make it a priority. So you'll find time to allocate during the day to make this happen. You'll wake up a half an hour earlier. You'll go to sleep a half an hour later. You'll stop scrolling Instagram before bed and you'll do something that really aligns with your goal. You'll make it a priority. Now, on the contrary, if saying those words out loud, it doesn't ignite something in you. Like when you say job hunting isn't a priority to me, and that feels true, that feels fine, then congratulations, you've just alleviated yourself of guilt, shame, should be doing something else type of feelings, when in fact you shouldn't. Because if you don't care that much about this, then you shouldn't take up that time in your schedule to actually do it.
Thank you. I so appreciate that exercise of helping you sort of clarify your values just by reframing it. So you advise many moms on not only time management, but also on goal achievement strategies. What is one of the easiest goal achievement strategies that our viewers could use starting today?
Yeah, clarity, hands down clarity. So if you don't know how you want to spend your time, if you don't have specific goals in mind of what you want to do with your time, you will inevitably end up wasting it away. Because the truth is, we all have time. We all get pockets of free time throughout the day, or perhaps even longer stretches than we care to admit or realize, because we're constantly filling any lull that we get by checking email, checking social media, texting, chit-chatting, watching TV, you name it. And the thing is, those things are not all bad. I enjoy doing many of those things, but when you do them without intention, there's usually nothing to show for it. And we end up feeling like we weren't productive or we got nothing done that day. And that's not the way I think any of us want to end our days, feeling defeated. So for example, if one of your goals is to simply spend time every day disconnected from work and be fully enthralled in like a TV series because your brain just needs that rest or that laughter or whatever that show is bringing you, then do it with intention, own it. But meanwhile, if on the other hand, if that's making you feel unfulfilled, like if you're in the current situation for whatever reason and you're not feeling like that's what you actually need, maybe you're looking more toward that career growth or wanting to pursue a passion that you like to do, like growing or starting a business, or maybe being a more intentional parent, like playing with your kid more. As long as you're clear on what those goals are, you can then follow the framework for getting them, into your system, scheduled into your life consistently, so you can be working toward them regularly.
Thank you. So the growth of email and the explosion of email in terms of work and personal use of our time, what advice can you offer about when to check and respond to emails or other forms of electronic communication, and why do you advise this?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, stop checking your email first thing in the morning. That is like the worst time to check your email. Stop reaching for your phone. checking your messages as soon as you wake up. I know I have been guilty of this in the past. There are days I still struggle with this, but the bottom line is no one makes good decisions before they're fully awake, whatever that looks like to you. Coffee, shower, getting dressed and ready, exercise, you name it. So stop trying to save the world before you're even out of bed. Because what happens is you end up doing or accepting a meeting invite that quite frankly probably could have been resolved in another way, or maybe doesn't need your presence. So it's cluttering up your schedule, making you busier than you need to be. Or worse off, you look at your inbox, it's just jam packed, and you start your day before you're even out of bed with just, overwhelm and anxiety. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to start my day in that way. Like then it kind of bleeds into everything I'm doing. Now I'm based on the West Coast here, so I'm on Pacific time. I'm kind of behind lots of other people. And so I know that, when I'm looking at if I check my phone at 6 a.m., people are well into their workday, especially globally speaking. I'm not trying to catch up with people at 6 a.m. and get to where they're at. I need to be on my own schedule. The other thing I'd say, instead of checking your phone first thing in the morning, maybe implement a really quick and simple morning routine. It can be as simple as 10 or 15 minutes, whatever's going to work for you, whether that be a quick workout, stretching, hydration, anything that really is going to set you up for success that day.
Thank you. Taking notes here. So I think often when we think about the role of a parent, and particularly moms, and how we're held up in society, I think a big piece for so many of us is the idea of boundaries. So can you tell us about the power of actually saying no in order to give ourselves more time, and how we might become more comfortable saying it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And first things first, I want to recognize that I think a lot of women in general tend to struggle with saying no, especially moms in the professional space. Many already feel like having a family has potentially put them at a disadvantage in their careers. So they're constantly trying to overcompensate in other ways at work. And what does that look like? It looks like saying yes to any and every opportunity, even if it doesn't serve them, even if it doesn't work for them, even if it doesn't really matter to the company that much. And, in this woman's eyes, she's got to constantly be proving herself. And that's exhausting and that's not sustainable. So I talk a lot in my programs about guilt management alongside time management and biz management, because I think you can be really, really good at managing your time, running your business, being a stellar employee, fill in the blank. But if you haven't figured out how to manage your guilt as a mom, all those efforts are for nothing, because you're going to end up saying yes to all the wrong, or really all the opportunities, and then you're going to just burn out. So I'd say start evaluating opportunities for just that. Is this an opportunity worth my time? Is it worth rearranging my childcare or my partner's schedule or my schedule? And if that's a yes, well, then yeah, go for it. And if this is really not an opportunity, but maybe it's being masked as one, well, recognize that, or if it just doesn't suit you, learn to be okay with that and just simply decline. Most people aren't going to think any less of you for saying no. If that feels too harsh, add a thank you. No, thank you. Boom, done, moving on. This, I think, is a really internal struggle, more than anything, I'd say, for women. And the more we're able to practice this, just like with any skill set, the easier and better we are going to become. And then just one more thing I want to mention about this is, I don't know if you've ever heard that expression, if you want something done, go ask a busy person. So moms are the busy people, right? And because of that, we're constantly being asked for things. Why? Because we're reliable, we're efficient, we get things done. But that doesn't mean that as moms, we always need to feel compelled to say yes to these requests.
Thank you. One audience member asked, what if you have a virtual assistant and you need to train them with these mindsets? So I don't know if you can speak to other tools that you might use around helping yourself stay organized.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a big power in training. I think a big part of that is you exemplifying these skills. So You not checking your email and responding to email at 6 a.m. is showing your virtual assistant that that's not the expectation you have of them as well, right? You not sending emails at 11 p.m. at night, you not kind of just having work all around you, you embodying a life of work-life balance then shows, in that leadership to others that that's the culture you're setting right there. And that's the expectation you want of them as well.
Thank you. Is this, like, in your experience, is this setting boundaries for oneself and learning how to manage your time? Is this typically a solo endeavor, or are there people you can pull in and partner with to help ensure that you are sort of managing your time and space and life a little better?
No, it takes a village. That expression doesn't come from nowhere, right? I mean, as with anything, whether that's being a parent, being part of a team at work, all of this is better when you have the support of others around you. Not to say just for the motivation and the environment that you're looking for, but also just for the actual like support, the practical support. I don't do all these things alone, right? I am fortunate to have a partner. I'm fortunate to have others I can lean on here. I'm fortunate to have services. So all of those things are absolutely necessary. We shouldn't feel like we're on this journey by ourselves.
Thank you. Another question from the audience. Do you suggest we prioritize tasks uncompleted from the previous day instead of previewing email that's ahead of us?
Oh, yeah. I feel like this happens often. People have that to-do list, the length of a CVS receipt, super long. And what happens? They expect the world of themselves. And one day when they look at the list and only a couple things are checked off, they're like, oh my gosh, just push it to the next day. And they just are constantly feeling defeated. So actually my mantra with this is I say, set 3 goals per day. 3 goals you're absolutely going to hold yourself accountable for, not this kind of like wishy-washy brain dump of a list. It's good to have a brain dump, get it off your head, but then actually hold yourself accountable for just 3 things each and every day. And they should be new things every day because they don't have to get transferred over to the next day because you are absolutely going to make those happen.
Thank you. Yeah, I've recently realized that if I have a to-do list, there's usually one I keep bumping down. There's one thing I least want to do. So my new mantra has been like, do the thing I least want to do on the list, because it's not going to be as bad. It's not going to take as long, and then it's off my list.
Yeah. Yeah.
So managing a family, much like managing a business, requires management of a lot of details and appointments, and that can start to bleed into, and sometimes feel like it takes over, like that alone dictates your day. Do you have tips on how to sort of manage like all the minutia of appointments and just people and lives that you're often trying to manage professionally, but then also within your family?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the juggle is real, right? There's plenty on there of things we're trying to work out and resolve and do ourselves. I mean, I think support is needed. You cannot expect to be able to do all those things solo. So where you can delegate, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel like that makes you any bit of a failure. If you're having to outsource some things, do that. And you need to ensure that despite that lengthy list of things that are happening or that cluttered calendar, you've not tried to fit this in. You've actually made this a priority, and that is taking care of yourself. So what are you doing on a daily basis that you're working around, not that you're trying to squeeze in, that is for you? Because actually some people feel like this is taking away from all those things they have to do, they have to get done. Actually, this is propelling you to be faster, more efficient, more motivated, more energized if you're able to spend those 15 minutes here or that 30 minutes there. So what does that look like? It looks like something different to everyone. Some people it's exercise, some people it's being really quiet and meditative. Some people it's journaling, some people it's just working toward a hobby or goal that they have. If you make the time and space to prioritize those things, I think that other stuff will come much more easily and efficiently.
Thank you. A question from the audience here. What if you work in an environment where there are a small amount of people on your team who do not have small children or any children at all, and you have family commitments that may conflict with work culture. How do you manage that without feeling guilty? For example, I think many of us know this reality, having to work late last minute when you're not able to make arrangements for childcare and being pulled in both directions.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I think there are several ways you can handle that. One, getting internal here, is this the right culture for you in this season you're in? That's one question you may want to reflect on and, potentially make a bigger decision there. If that's not the direction you want to go, you need to be able to communicate kind of exactly that season you're in with your leadership team, with your HR department, whomever you need to have that conversation with, and explain the fact of like, these are the challenges I'm facing outside of the workplace. This is when I'm going to be available. This is when I won't be available. Hopefully your company values you and values the fact of, the talent you're bringing and all the gifts that you're providing to the organization, and they'll work with you on that. I mean, I know that during the pandemic per se, I wasn't always available during the traditional 8:30 to 5 hours that I had been when I was outside of my home, when I had childcare in place, when I had all the moving support systems that were working for me. During that time, I had to have a very honest conversation with my employer and say, I'm going to get the work done, but it may not be done on the traditional schedule that I used to be able to commit to. And they were very understanding, fortunately.
Have you had experience with an employer at some point where they haven't been as understanding and that's forced you to either shift your behavior or make even a more pronounced life shift?
Yes, I mean, there's definitely been times in my career where I would have wanted, a different schedule or a different, I don't even know, situation that wasn't possible for the organization. And a lot of that shift that needs to happen in that sense, in that season, is really a conversation with yourself. What's more valuable here? Is it more valuable that I maintain this employment opportunity and that I am, working on this in my own life and what I need to do, my mindset shifts, other support systems I need to maybe tap into? Or is this feeling really misaligned and I need to potentially step away from this? So I really think that it's not a simple answer of like, oh, just do this or just do that or hire this, or, it's not that simple and practical for everyone, because really it has to feel aligned and it has to feel like you're in the right place at that time. Because if you're not, no matter what you implement there, it's never going to feel good.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Marisa. So much gold mined from our conversation. I wish this was a conversation I'd been a part of much earlier in my journey towards motherhood. But we really appreciate you being with us today and welcome the insights that you provided. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, right. I want to make sure that folks in the audience have a means of reaching you if they have additional questions. Would you be willing to share your contact details?
Absolutely. So the best place to reach me is my website. It is mamaworkit.com. That's MAMA, workit.com. You can subscribe there. I send a weekly free newsletter. Lots of free resources on there as well to check out: the podcast, the blog. And then additionally, I'm on the social handles, Let Mama Work It.
Thank you, Marisa. And I believe Power to Fly probably puts that together for the audience. So I'll defer to them on that.
Perfect.
But thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.